Montreal to Toronto in the airplane. How do you do it? It's not like driving a car. There's a lot of planning involved. We're going to show you how it's done coming up. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up an app that I use on the iPad called Meteo Earth. This is an app that was shown to me by Don Bell, one of the co-founders of WestJet, when I was taking my trip about 2 years ago out to Vancouver. I had this problem where the regular aviation weather that we would be getting for the mountains just wasn't reliable enough. In aviation, we have METARs, which are weather conditions at the airport currently, and TAFs, which are the aerodrome forecasts, which are for the immediate area around the airport. However, when you're talking about flying through mountains and valleys, the conditions can vary greatly between what's going on at the airport and what's going on in the route between the airports. So I did not find that to be a reliable way to plan my flying through the mountains. In addition to that, we have something called a graphical area forecast, and there's always 3 forecasts. The current one, 6 hours advanced, and then 6 hours after that. And these are drawings that are made by weather forecasters that show us the bigger picture in a region of what's going on with the weather. However, it's not as slick as something like Meteo Earth, which will literally show you what's going on with the rain and the pressure, whatever settings you want, cloud cover, and this has the ability to forecast up to 5 days in advance. So this gives a pilot a compromise between the highly detailed forecasts that are provided by NAV Canada for flying and the civilian forecasts that you would have, for planning your picnics outside and whatnot. In this video, we're going to talk about that Meteo Earth application, what it's good for, and how to use it. When I come into the application, the first thing I do is I set up the various settings for what I want to do. By default, it doesn't seem to save any settings. So what I'll do is I'll turn on cloud cover and then tell it that I only want to see low-level clouds, because I'm not concerned if I have clouds above me when I'm flying. It's more that if the cloud cover is so low that I can't get that at least 1,000 feet above the ground to get to my destination. I'll turn on wind, and I'll turn on the pressure lines. Then I zoom in on the area where I'm flying. So in this case, it's going to be from Montreal to Toronto. And you can see that on the left, we have red lines, which represent high pressure weather. And then on the left, even further out, you'll see the larger air currents that are going on. Over time, what you learn as a pilot is that high pressure is generally good for flying. Generally, you're not going to have clouds, you're not going to have rain, you're going to have good visibility in the high pressure system. However, the high pressure systems also come with cold weather. So if you want to fly on a warm day for some reason, you might find that the weather conditions are at odds with your preference for the activity that you're planning in that day. So in this case, we're looking at Montreal to Toronto. Those lines that you see are the different pressure gradients. And on the right side, you can see it starts to get more blue. And as it gets more blue, you see that there's more cloud. So that's the low pressure on the right there. So zooming back in, we're going to fly, just past Cornwall there, all the way down to Toronto. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the timeline down below, and it's going to show us how the weather is going to change between now and tomorrow and the next day when we'll be flying. So it looks like later tonight, it's just moving along there. You see the pressure gradients are getting closer together. That usually causes wind. And you'll notice that as those bars get farther apart, that the wind dies down. So right now we're looking at tomorrow morning, and it's looking pretty decent. And then into the evening, it gets actually even better for flying on Saturday. And then on Sunday, you can see that we've got that high pressure system coming up from the south. It's going to push all the clouds out of the way in the morning there. And we've got a nice weather. Oh, it's starting to cloud in as we get later on in the day. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. So this is 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday in Toronto. And you can see that the weather is starting to get thicker on the west side of the map. And over in Montreal, we still have a bit of a hole in the weather. So for me, when I'm looking at something like this, that tells me that I want to be out of Toronto by that time. So I'm going to pull the timeline a little bit back. Okay, that looks about perfect. Okay, so this is 7:30 in the morning. So if I leave at 7:30 in the morning, we've got a little bit of cloud cover, but it's pretty much clear. And that flight takes about 2.5 hours. So if you look between 7:30 and even 1 o'clock, let's say we were delayed. So 1 o'clock is the deadline. So let's go back. So 7:30. Yeah, okay. So what I'm seeing here is I want to be back in Montreal by about 10 a.m. Now we're going to assume that we're close to Montreal. We're past Cornwall by 10 a.m. and let's watch what the next hour looks like. Okay, so we've got at least another hour and a half after that point in time where the Montreal weather will still be good. The reason why I'm looking at it this way is when you're traveling, what's behind you is not important. What is really important is that when you get to your destination that you're going to be able to land. Now what's happening en route is important as well, obviously, but you have to keep in mind that as you're traveling, what's going on behind you is not really going to change or affect you. It's not going to change your day at all. So we look at Montreal and we say it's clear. Now let's progress forward to see when it's kind of looking where it starts to get bad. Okay, we're in the afternoon in Montreal, 3 o'clock. Okay, we're getting into the evening now. Okay, so if you look here, it's not until about 9 o'clock at night that the weather starts to get a little windier, but still, those are pretty good conditions. I'm just gonna click on Montreal. We've got a risk of light rain. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at this from my precipitation perspective. All right, so I go back in time. I'm gonna leave at 6:30 in the morning on Saturday. Looks like there's a little weather system down near Toronto here. See the rain on the south side? If I click on it, it's showing me that this is actually moderate rain. I'm gonna press play just to make sure that that rain doesn't come up to where we are. Okay, no rain, some cloud cover. And we're going into the evening on Saturday. Wow, the evening on Saturday looks really nice. If I get stuck for some reason, I can take advantage of that. But Sunday morning, you can see that the rain is starting to come up from the south. And then we've got the rain coming in from the west, that little blue coming in. Okay, right there. So 3 o'clock, we really want to be out of Toronto no later than 3 o'clock on Sunday. And if we go 2.5 hours into the future, Montreal is fine. It's just a question of when do we need to be out of Toronto. And I said 3 o'clock, but really it looks like it's 2 o'clock right there. So I'm gonna say that for Sunday, my departure is gonna have to be first thing in the morning for this trip, because if I stay any later, you can see everything starts to get questionable, and this is definitely marginal weather. We can't tell from looking at this exactly what the weather will be like, but we can figure out generally what the weather's going to be doing. And I would say that I definitely don't want to be in that storm front that's coming from the west. I want to be well on my way before that happens.